Andrew Cuomo under fire again, this time accused of giving preferential treatment to friends and family for hard-to-get COVID testing at the peak of the pandemic in New York last year. The Washington Post and the New York Times reporting that the VIP list included his brother, CNN anchor Chris Cuomo. The Post reports one of the state health department's top doctors administered the test personally at Cuomo's home in the Hamptons. The two, Chris and Andrew, joking about the test last year on Andrew Cuomo's CNN show.
This is the normal swab I'm holding up here now, and for everybody at home. A very valuable object. Is it true that this was the swab that the nurse was actually using on you?
Well, in response to the reporting, a top Cuomo aide declined to comment on the special treatment, but says in the early days of the pandemic, quote, we were absolutely going above and beyond to get people testing, including in some instances going to people's homes. Adding that among those we assisted were members of the general public, including legislators, reporters, state workers, and their families who feared they had contracted the virus. CNN also saying it is not surprising that in the earliest days of a once-in-a-century global pandemic, when Chris was showing symptoms and was concerned about possible spread, he turned to anyone he could for advice and assistance, as any human being would. Joining me now is NBC's Stephanie Gosk and A.B. Stoddard, associate editor at Real Clear Politics. Stephanie, you've been covering the Cuomo issue. This is yet another issue amidst the others, the nursing homes, and, of course, the sexual harassment allegations.
Yeah, it is. It adds to that. And, you know, it raises possible more legal trouble for the governor. And here in the state of New York, officials are not allowed to receive or provide privileges as a result of their position. And there are already a number of investigations going on connected to the governor. You have the FBI preliminary investigation into his handling of the nursing homes at the height of the pandemic and the way he handled the data related to deaths from those nursing homes. You have Letitia James, the state attorney general, investigating the sexual harassment charges. And then you have the state assembly here looking into possible impeachment of the governor. They're looking at all of these issues. So these latest accusations just piling up for Governor Cuomo. Andrea?
And you were reporting, of course, on COVID during all this period. Were tests really hard to get at the time in New York State?
You may remember, actually, they were telling people not to go get tested at first. If you were asymptomatic, don't go. If you had mild symptoms even, they were saying don't get tested. It was really only the people with significant symptoms that were getting tested. It was difficult to get tests then. It's still not particularly easy, to be perfectly honest. But, you know, the mayor of New York City, and there's no love lost between the mayor of New York City and the governor, was asked about this today, and he said, actually, you know, in the scope of the other allegations that the governor is facing, that these accusations seem less significant. Andrea?
That's interesting indeed. A.B. Stoddard, how does this story, you know, play, though, politically, given the impeachment hearings or the impeachment that the legislature is considering?
Well, it's sort of stunning to find myself agreeing with Bill de Blasio, but I do think if we had a crystal ball, we probably would learn a lot of state and federal officials around the country last spring were doing what they could to help their friends and their family members. I think that doctoring nursing home data on COVID home deaths is probably the most impeachable offense, separate from the sexual harassment allegations that are also separate from as an impeachable offense as well. And so I think his political fortunes are very fraught and fragile. He doesn't seem to think so. He obviously is very defiant. He went from apologetic, though not shameful, to defiant, and he seems to think he can dig in. But I imagine when the investigation is over and those nursing home deaths are under federal investigation, that he is going to find himself unable to continue to serve as governor. When a new revelation like this one comes out today, it gives that, you know, smoky effect that there must be more fire than we know of because he was treating his perch, you know, like a real narcissist who could do what he wanted. I think he's in terrible shape, but I don't think the governor knows it himself.
Stephanie, what about the length of the investigation? I guess Letitia James would be the most important one facing him because whatever the federal case is, it would take a lot longer.
Well, we're not really sure. We know that it certainly has momentum, that a number of the accusers have been brought in and they've been asked questions. And, it's interesting what you were just discussing. There have been a lot of state Democrats who have called on Governor Cuomo to resign. But you did hear the president give him a little bit of room, President Biden saying, let's wait until we hear what the investigation reveals. He then said after that, let's watch what it reveals. And if it does reveal something, the governor should step down. Andrea?
And AB, the political fallout for him it would make it very difficult for him to seek re-election, would it not? Although politically he still has the popularity. He's got the voters behind him, according to most polling.
And I wonder what those approval ratings, Andrew, would look like over time with the results of these investigations and any actions to impeach him. But yes, he is certainly planning to run next year, hoping that the public attention span will be really small and we will move on to other things. You can tell that's why he's digging in that way. I just think that when you look at what he's facing in terms of these very severe accusations, and again, doctoring nursing home data about pandemic death is likely to do him in before he can run again.
And again, he's got another year, I guess, in office and hoping to hang on. Stephanie Goss, thanks so very much. You've been all over this story, and A.B. Stoddard as well. Thanks to you.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.